is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Ghadi Francis coming to you from Beirut, Lebanon, and this is WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from the world's most volatile region. This week we have a lot lined up for you, starting from the epicenter of war, Gaza. The Israeli forces are advancing in Rafah city. They have attacked Nusayrat camp, but on the northern front they are facing fires from the Lebanon's Hezbollah. This and a look at the Iranian presidential race and the tense Turkish politics. But before we take a dive into all that, let's take a look at what's happening across West Asia in these headlines.
Israeli authorities release former Palestinian parliament speaker and senior Hamas official Dr. Aziz Dweik after 8 months in jail. A massive fire at the oil refinery in Iraqi Kurdistan injures at least 14 firefighters. Fire put out after a 20-hour battle. India brings home bodies of 45 workers killed in a fire in a labour housing facility in Kuwait. New Delhi urged to take more steps to protect the lives of those who work abroad. Yemen's Houthi missiles strike the Palau-flagged Wabena cargo ship in the Gulf of Aden. US military says it rescued one injured sailor on board.
Starting with the top focus of the war and the top focus of the world today, ceasefire deal in Gaza. The UN has approved a ceasefire agreement, and this is the first time that this thing happens. But on the ground, the Israelis are still pounding Gaza, and Hamas is asking for commitments from the US. We tell you more in this report.
For the first time in the 8 months of the war in Gaza, the United Nations Security Council adopted a 3-phase ceasefire proposal to end the hostilities.
We're waiting on Hamas.
The United States pushed the proposal that starts with a 6-week ceasefire during which Israeli captives and Palestinian prisoners will be returned. It then progresses to a permanent ceasefire and the release of all captives. The third and final phase involves the reconstruction of Gaza. Initially, Hamas said that it viewed the deal in a positive light. The US also claimed Israel had accepted this offer, but soon the deal fell through with both sides staying put on their stance. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his administration maintain that eliminating Hamas is their first priority. Hamas, on the other hand, wants a written agreement from the United States for a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. This is according to Egyptian sources. Also, Hamas is seeking explicit guarantees for the transition from one phase to another. On his 8th trip to West Asia, Washington's top diplomat Antony Blinken said that some changes proposed by Hamas are not workable.
So, we were waiting on one response, and that was the response from Hamas. And as the Prime Minister said, last night we received a response. Hamas has proposed numerous changes to the proposal that was on the table. We discussed those changes last night with Egyptian colleagues and today with the Prime Minister. Some of the changes are workable, some are not.
Hamas officials have denied that the group put forward any new ideas. He also accused the US of going along with Israel to evade any commitment to a blueprint for a permanent ceasefire. Hamas called its own response positive and opening a wide pathway to an agreement. One of the key mediators, Qatar, said that there is a clear and firm call to end the war in the enclave.
an issue that we've been struggling with for a very long time is how to ensure that we bridge the gap between those two fundamental differences between what Hamas wants as a permanent ceasefire and what Israel wants as a hostage release and maybe a plan to continue the war. I think what we have achieved in this structure is the best way to bridge those gaps and to merge both tracks.
American intelligence officials believe Yahya Sinwar, the powerful leader of Hamas in Gaza, is the group's key decision maker on any potential ceasefire deal. Sinwar likely believes the group can survive Israel's attempt to destroy it. He also feels confident it is well positioned to approach negotiations from a place of strength. Residents in Gaza also voiced their support to the ceasefire resolution. They are worried that Israel will ignore it, having repeatedly flouted international law and UN Security Council resolutions in the past.
We support this resolution, which includes a ceasefire process, but it must be a full ceasefire rather than Israel waging war on us again and continuing killing the rest of the Palestinian people after the exchange of hostages.
While all eyes are fixated on the ceasefire agreement, Israeli forces are pushing deeper into Gaza's Rafah city. The Israeli assault forced displaced Palestinians in Rafah's Al-Mawasi to pack up their belongings again on Thursday, some for the 7th time. Palestinians called it one of their worst nights since the war began last year.
We have been displaced for 9 months. Even if we were from the city of Rafah, for 8 months, a month and a half, we've been displaced. We can't. May God protect the people of the north too. It's the same story. People's situation is terrible. Every day they tell you tomorrow there are negotiations. Solve this for us. I eat sand every day. I'm sleeping on sand.
Palestinian health authorities say that the Nusayrat refugee camp came under Israeli radar after the IDF's hostage rescue operation. A deadly massacre claimed over 270 lives and injured over 600 displaced Palestinians. Not only in Gaza, but Israeli raids are continuing all over the occupied West Bank. In Qabatia, the Israeli army said that its troops surrounded a building and exchanged fire with 2 gunmen. Palestinians and witnesses said that the body of one of them was lifted out by an armored bulldozer. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
While there's news about a ceasefire on the Gaza front, the Lebanon front is just escalating. In the latest, the Israelis assassinated a top Hezbollah commander, and Hezbollah retaliated by setting northern settlements on fire. Take a look.
Fears of an all-out war between Lebanon's Hezbollah and Israeli forces have gone up many notches after senior Hezbollah commander Abu Talib's death on Tuesday. The Lebanese group has vowed to avenge the killing by intensifying attacks on Israel.
If the enemy's message was to hurt our leader, our beloved and dear martyr Abu Talib, if his message was to undermine our resolve so that we would retreat from our position in supporting the oppressed, the fighters and the resistance in Gaza, the proud, then he should know that our definitive and unhesitating answer after this pure blood of our dear leader is that our answer after the martyrdom of Abu Talib, we will increase our operations in intensity, force, quantity and quality, and let him wait for us in the field.
The Israeli army claimed its strikes on the South Lebanon village of Jawaya killed 3 Hezbollah members, including Talib. Hezbollah retaliated the very next day, launching its biggest ever attack on Israeli military posts. It rained down scores of rockets on Israel and claimed it struck down Israel's military factory in the north with guided missiles. Israeli forces say Hezbollah fired a barrage of over 50 missiles on its occupied Golan Heights. The Israeli military released a video to show the interception of the missiles from Lebanon. Hezbollah claims it fired over 100 missiles, including its most advanced heavy-duty Birkin missiles, at military positions and bases in northern Israel. The Hezbollah group kept up the attacks on Thursday. It fired over 150 missiles and 30 drones at 15 Israeli military positions. A Hezbollah statement claimed its operation was in support of the steadfast Palestinian people and their courageous and honorable resistance in Gaza, and also as a response to the assassination in Juwaya. Israeli media reported injuries to 2 people, while rescue teams battled to put out the fires ignited by Hezbollah rockets. Israel blamed Hezbollah, Iran and the Beirut government for the spiraling violence across the border.
Whether through diplomatic efforts or otherwise, Israel will restore security on our northern border. Israel will respond with force to all aggressions by Hezbollah. Lebanon and Hezbollah, under the guidance of Iran, bear full responsibility to the deterioration of the security situation in the north, in full violation of UN Security Council resolutions 1559 and 1701.
The US has expressed concern over the worsening situation. US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin got on an urgent call with his Israeli counterpart to discuss the situation. Pentagon said it does not want to see a wider regional conflict.
We never want to see an escalation of tensions in the region. And we took very specific steps from the beginning, with the secretary making that decision and of course, with the president, to have the Ford go into the Eastern Med. We're going to continue to urge for de-escalation. That was something that the secretary spoke with Minister Gallant about at length yesterday.
Washington's top diplomat has signaled that a ceasefire deal in Gaza will have a tremendous effect in lowering Israel-Lebanon tensions. For now, Israel says it will respond forcefully to the Hezbollah attacks. The escalation has tested unwritten rules that have largely confined the conflict to areas at the border or near it since October, keeping Lebanese and Israeli cities out of the firing line. Meanwhile, the conflict is intensifying in the Red Sea as well. On the 7th of June, Yemen's Houthis unveiled a new, solid-fuel missile that resembles aspects of what Iran displayed earlier. Tehran claims it flies at hypersonic speeds. The rebels fired its new Palestine missile, complete with a warhead painted like a Palestinian keffiyeh checkered scarf, at the southern Gulf of Aqaba port of Eilat in Israel on Monday. The attack set off air raid sirens but caused no damage and no injuries were reported.
Who will be the next president of the Islamic Republic of Iran? There's a lot at stake here. The presidential race is getting more and more tense, and 28th of June is the date. We tell you more about that in this report.
Six people are finally left in the race for Iran's presidency. It is the second most powerful position in the country after the ultimate head of the Islamic State, the unelected Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The powerful Guardian Council of the Iranian Constitution vetted the candidates based on their loyalty to Khamenei. Among the candidates is Mohammad Bakir Ghalibaf, whose nomination sparked criticism. Ghalibaf's candidacy comes just 5 days after he secured 200 votes to become the Speaker of the new parliament. Ghalibaf is a 2-term lawmaker from Tehran and a former Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps member. 53-year-old Amir Hossein Ghazizadeh Hashmi was previously the chairman of the Martyrs and War Veterans Foundation in the Raisi administration. The 4-term lawmaker is the only candidate from late Ibrahim Raisi's administration who made it through Guardian Council's vetting process. Another prominent candidate is the former lead nuclear negotiator Saeed Jalili, deeply loyal to the Iranian Supreme Leader. He is one of Khamenei's 3 representatives in the Supreme National Security Council. Other candidates include Ali Raza Zakani, the current mayor of Tehran, a heart surgeon and former health minister, Masood Pezeshkian. Mustafa Por Mohammadi is the only cleric approved to run for the presidency in 2024. The Guardian Council, that consists of 6 appointed clerics and 6 elected jurists whose main task is to vet the election candidates, rejected as many as 74 faces this time. One of the key rejected faces is former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. First elected as Iran's president in 2005, Ahmadinejad stepped down because of limits set on his term in 2013. The Guardian Council barred him from contesting in 2017, a year after Supreme Leader Khamenei told him it was not in his interest and that of the country. The selected candidates will now mount a shortened 2-week campaign to replace hardline President Raisi, who was killed in a chopper crash last month. The latest developments suggest the country's theocratic administration is hoping to smoothen the election process in a turbulent time. Parliamentary elections in March saw the turnout hitting a record low as tensions continued over the country's rapidly advancing nuclear program as well as the Israel-Hamas war. Although the protests have died down, Iran still has a strong anti-government movement. The protests erupted in the year 2022 after the death of Mahsa Amini, a young woman accused of not adhering to the country's dress code for women.
Let's talk a little about Turkey. Week after week, the political tension is making news. Now, in the latest, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is facing backlash and opposition for his proposed teaching curricula. Take a look.
From brawls in the Turkish parliament to scuffles on the streets, political temperatures are soaring in the Balkan nation. Overriding protests from the teacher unions, Turkish president presented a new education plan for his country. He said that it will help children learn morality and promote spiritual order in the country. It will have optional classes on the Holy Quran, the Prophet's life and other Islamic subjects. Teachers' unions have said the new program is contrary to secularism, science and democratic teaching. They have called for a nationwide protest against it. On the social platform X, board member of the Eğitim Sen Union, Simge Yardım, called on citizens to fight for the rights and future of children. Since last year, the Erdogan government's steps to promote traditional moral values among students have fueled secularist concerns in the nation. Over the months, Turkey has opened many Islamic Imam Hatip schools, in line with Erdogan's goal of creating a pious generation. The draft curriculum was presented for public consultation in late April. The citizens left over 67,200 comments and suggestions. The latest move has revived concerns that Islam is encroaching on schools. However, the Education Minister Yusuf Tekin said the government carried out the process with sufficient democratic participation. Kadim Ozbey, head of the Eğitim Labor Union, said the new curriculum is designed to raise robot and soulless generations that do not think, question, criticize, object, or interpret. Amidst the pressure on Erdogan's ruling Islamic-rooted AKP, the Turkish president visited the opposition CHP party headquarters on Tuesday. Erdogan had last visited the party office after 18 years. The 1.5-hour meeting between Erdogan and CHP leader Özgür Özel in Ankara comes after the ruling AKP suffered a massive defeat in the March local polls. Erdogan has signaled softening in politics. After the March vote, observers called his worst defeat since his party took power in 2022.
We spoke about the war in Palestine, Lebanon, we spoke about Turkey and Iran, and now we will end this episode by going to the Gulf part of West Asia. Mecca is the epicenter of Hajj pilgrimage this week. Millions of people from around the world flock to be a part of the 2024 Hajj season in Saudi Arabia. The next report brings you more.
feel the pain as human beings first and as Muslims second. The brutal occupation, what's happening for the children and the women in Gaza, it's definitely unjustified. And part of being here as a Hajj, of course, is to make dua for the people of Gaza. We feel with you, and inshallah, Allah will free you from oppression, inshallah, soon.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news and ground reports from one of the world's most volatile regions. I am your host, Radi Francis, signing off from Beirut, Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
This week on Inside South Asia, from Sheikh Hasina to Mohammad Moizu, 5 South Asian leaders attend the swearing-in ceremony of the new government, reaffirming India's Sagar policy. But as coalition partners take centre stage, will the BJP's own agenda take a back seat amid coalition compulsions? And just after the new government takes shape, Jammu and Kashmir is struck by a string of deadly terror attacks. We detail the government's counter move. All this and lot more on Inside South Asia.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yowon.com.
World leaders gather in Italy.
We're here in Puglia, the heel of Italy, and one of the country's booming touristic destinations.
Biden, Macron, Kishida, and Trudeau in attendance. Focus on Russia-Ukraine war and Gaza crisis, from frozen Russian assets to growing West-China tensions. Advanced economies get down to tackle thorny issues.
Francis will become the first pope to address a G7 summit. The Vatican confirms he will also have bilateral meetings with Indian Prime Minister Modi, and this will be the first time a pope attends and speaks at a G7.
India, Ukraine, UAE join G7 leaders in Italy. G7 meeting. Big focus on WION.
It's a double whammy for Africa's populous nation. Unions shut down country's power grid as cost of living crisis persists, making big conglomerates to also close shop in Nigeria. Respiratory diseases plague Kenya as more people burn wood to save money. And Somaliland's first girls basketball team secures right to play and now advocates for independence. Watch World of Africa at these times on WION. World is one.
This week's episode of our special series, Yoga, celebrating India's gift to mankind, brought to you from the beautiful state of Kerala in southern India. We explore an Ayurvedic retreat in Palakkad and tell you all about the power of the Indian traditional medicine system.
We want our Indian community to take the benefit of our local medicine.
What happens when ancient India meets artificial intelligence? From smart yoga mats to yoga apps at your fingertips, we look at the rise of AI in yoga. Watch our special series at this time, only on WION. World is one.
Namaste. Hello friends. We did Dr. Subash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subash Chandra Show.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.